Husband wants to divorce and start over, can't bond with baby. My husband, 29M, and I 30 non-binary have been married for 5 years. I gave birth to our first child in September, a girl. My husband was present for most of my labor, but things went very pear-shaped and I had to have an emergency C-section. The doctors told him to leave the room and wait outside. In short, he did not see our daughter be born. A week ago he informed me that he wants to divorce and start over on his dreams of having a family. He insists that he cannot bond with our daughter and says it's because he didn't see her being born. He said a lot about how it's always been a dream of his to have a small, close-knit family, and now he can't have that with me because of the C-section and his not being in the room. His dad suggested therapy, but husband refused, saying he knew it wouldn't work. I've made sure he knows I'm open to the idea if he changes his mind, but he's been very insistent that he knows this can't be fixed. Part of me knows I'm basically asking for a magic spell here, but does anyone have any ideas how/if this can be fixed? I'll try to answer any questions anyone may have. OP on being non-binary. I realized in my late teens, and he's known me since before we started dating. We went to the same college and met in a shared class, and were friends for about a year before anything romantic developed. He was much more active with her before announcing his desire to start over. Now he doesn't do much with her beyond basic babysitting stuff when I'm at work. Comment. How will divorcing you and then getting remarried help him bond with his daughter? Seems like the wrong fix to the problem. But there is a problem for sure, so don't let others just tell you he's a POS and you're better without him. OP, I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. He wants to divorce me so he can find a new wife and start over. He insists he can't have his dream family with me because of our daughter and the lack of a bond. Update 1. Several people suggested asking him to come with me to a therapist so I can get help understanding why he's leaving. He agreed and our appointment was yesterday. It didn't go badly. But it didn't go well either. He was very upfront with the therapist. He didn't try to mince words or refuse to answer questions. He told the man, paraphrasing, they got to bond the entire pregnancy. That baby is made of their body. I can't compare to that. My work started at birth and I wasn't there, so I don't feel like I ever got hired, if that makes sense. Yeah, he compared it to not having an employment contract. I get the metaphor, I guess, but I'm not sure how it translates to him not being able to bond. Several people made transphobic comments and several other people asked if maybe my lack of gender was an issue. I assumed no, because husband had known that I'm non-binary since before we started dating, but I did bring it up while we were with the therapist. Husband insists that no, it has nothing to do with anything. He didn't care about what I am, but how I did. The therapist was very focused on trying to help me understand, and I appreciate that. No complaints with him. I'm still completely in the dark, though, and husband has started talking about choosing a lawyer. He says he wants a clean break before daughter gets too attached. Comment. He says he wants a clean break before daughter gets too attached. I can't bond with my daughter, so I want a clean break before she bonds too much with me. Are you sure your husband is all there? Has he had some sort of mental break or something? This literally makes no sense to me at all. Comment. He wants to leave OP and is using the child as an excuse. His reasoning and explanations are nonsensical. ETA. OP thinks he was being forthcoming and clear, consistent with the therapist. I see his concise answers as a sign of him being rehearsed. In other words, he worked on his cover-up alibi story, which is why it's so easy for him to regurgitate it over and over. Either he didn't realize how hard being a parent would be and wants to opt out, or he wants to leave OP and blaming the baby is convenient. OP had a traumatic birth and somehow the victim in the entire situation is the dad. Not the person who was cut open. Or the baby that was yanked out. The dad. Comment. Yeah, it sounds like he already has plans to move on, especially mentioning how he wants to be able to go have his close-knit family. Probably has some woman waiting for him that he's going to end up doing the same thing to once she has a child. Comment. So I hope child support is involved here. He doesn't just get to claim no bonding and get his clean break. I'd also like to see how he gets another partner to seriously consider him after they find out how he treated you and your child. OP. I have no intention of letting him off the support hook. His dad knows. His mother passed away about a decade ago. FIL isn't too keen on husband's reasoning. I haven't told my family yet. FIL is firmly on my side. I made husband tell FIL all this mess when he first told me. FIL also tried to push husband for therapy, but husband says it can't be fixed. Update 2. My other posts can be seen in my post history, but the short of it is that I, 30NB, gave birth to my daughter in September. My husband, 29M, did not see her birth, things went very badly and I needed emergency intervention. He was not in the room for the C-section. About a month and a half ago he informed me that he cannot bond with her because he did not see her be born, and he wants to divorce so he can start over on his dreams of a close-knit family. We have filed. I have taken daughter and moved back in with my parents, who aren't very happy about the divorce but are thrilled to have the chance to nanny daughter, their words, not mine. Life was in stasis for about a week after my husband had asked for his help paying for a lawyer. He had agreed with the requirement that we all sit down and have one last talk about the situation. He opened by saying that he thinks that getting this over with would be best for me and my daughter. Husband looked a little hurt at this, so he's willing to help, but he wanted to take one last shot at fixing it. The one last shot ended up being several hours of talking. Phil bluntly demanded that my husband explain his reasoning. Husband repeated the can't bond thing. Phil asked why. The employment contract analogy was brought up again. After much back, forth, what do you mean by this? Why that Phil just said, I'm not buying this. My husband insisted till the end that what he'd been saying all along was his reasoning. He did not see daughter be born so he can't bond. He tried, he insisted. The connection isn't there. He was supposed to connect when daughter was born, there was supposed to be a spark of connection between them, but that spark can only happen right at birth, I guess? In his mind he can't get it now. Phil asked if my husband thought daughter wasn't his. My husband insists he has no doubts that he is daughter's biological father. Phil asked if my husband was seeing someone else. Was there a woman or another pregnancy somewhere? My husband did not react well to this. He threw his phone down on the table and said that we were free to search it, he's not a scumbag. After that the conversation turned to post-divorce life. My husband offered up that he'd been running the numbers and would volunteer 50/month alimony and 50/month in child support. He doesn't my husband have husband do either, mind, because we're divorcing and he wants to cut all ties with the kid, but he wants to be fair. $50 in alimony? Whatever, I have a job and a roof over our heads. I don't need it. $50 in child support? That is a lot less whatever. But I'm refusing to stress about it. The court will handle CS amounts. I'm making myself not be angry and let them deal with it. I admit I tuned out most of the rest of Phil's attempt to talk sense into his son after that comment. I think that was when the coffin finally nailed itself shut. I started packing when we got home and went to my parents' house the next day. I'm no longer talking to my husband, his lawyer talks to mine. We haven't spoken in almost 3 weeks. I don't think I need to tell you that he hasn't shown any concern for daughter, but here I am anyway. The day after I got there my sister kidnapped me to her place. We got very drunk, daughter was with parents, not us. Talked about everything and I screamed a lot. I got most of it out of my system. After that we had more drinks and watched terrible horror movies. I woke up the next day with the headache from hell but otherwise feeling better than I had in a long time. My job can't transfer me, just my luck, but I've been promised a glowing reference and I'm cashing out what little paid leave I have left to add to my savings. Phil asked after the failed conversation if I would be cutting my husband off. I assured him that he might not see us as much because of how far away my parents live and not knowing where I'll end up, but he's not getting rid of me or daughter that easily. He was very happy to hear that. So that's where I am. Papers have been filed, daughter and I have moved out of the house. I'm doing my best to ignore my husband's existence. Thank you all again for listening to me cry and complain over the past couple months. Comment. Oh my god, what a toolbox. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Also hard lol too, I don't have to do anything because I'm divorcing you and cutting ties with my child, but out of the goodness of my heart I'll give you $50 a month. I know you can support yourself and your child on your own, but your child deserves every penny the courts award. You are 100% correct to let the lawyers handle this from here, and tell them to get everything they can. Comment. Yeah, this guy is going to be in for a shock when the family court tells him child support isn't reduced just because you really don't feel like being a dad anymore. Then again, might be best to have him sign away rights entirely so he can't come slinking back at some point. Comment. Excuse me judge, but I did not see the child actually come out of the uterus so I expect a discount on my child support. Comment. I am sure that will work well for him. Comment. I still think your husband needs some medical testing. Maybe he has an undiagnosed brain tumor or something making him act crazy my husband. Update 3. I promised an update once things were over, and at this point they're mostly over, so here I am. My story can be seen in my post history, but the short of it is that my 31 non-binary ex-husband, 29M, did not see my daughter's birth and decided that because he wasn't there he couldn't bond, so he and I are divorcing and he's going to start over. Daughter turned 1 this month. She landed on nod as her first word. I suspect this is because Phil brought home a foster-to-adopt dog a few months back whose previous owners called her Nod or Nodder. Daughter loves the heck out of this dog, you guys. Phil sends me pictures of her every day to just waiting on some final paperwork for the divorce to be complete. He has not contested anything. He did look the judge in the face and repeat the whole "didn't see birth, can't bond" thing. His lawyer did try and defend that claim. He presented studies that he claimed said things about damages to bonds when fathers weren't present and actively involved for everything but ex-husbands were. He was there and active and involved my entire pregnancy, and was present for my entire labor until things went wrong. It wasn't a case of, oh hey you knocked someone up 5 years ago, now bond with this kid. Daughter was definitely less than an hour old when he held her for the first time, probably less than half an hour. And I had proof for this claim too. Among other things I had pictures of the two of us at multiple prenatal appointments. Phil was also willing to file a statement talking about how X and he were involved in my pregnancy. Needless to say, the judge was not impressed with my ex's lawyer's arguments. He tried to push my ex for therapy, made comments about how X would regret this later. X stood stubborn with his "I need to start over" line. He has visitation per the paperwork. Care to guess if he's used it? He does also have to pay child support. If you've read my post history you might remember that he offered me a gigantic $50 a month. That's all he's been paying despite the judge ordering a lot more, so that's a fight I'm going to have to steel myself for. I'm surprised he started scanting out before the divorce was even final, but he did tell me and Phil that he's not a scumbag, so in his mind he's probably just keeping true to his word or something. He's shown no interest in daughter. No other children, pregnancies or potential partners have popped up either. As best Phil can tell, X is single and not showing any interest in dating yet. I don't know how I feel, really. It would make more sense if he was cheating. It would be easier to have something solid to point to, go F you into a tornado for making my life fall apart, and then try to move on. But all lived evidence points to him honestly thinking he has to do this. I'm in therapy. I found a place about the middle of my parents and Phil, and I'm still doing freelance work. I would rate myself okay. Daughter is happy, healthy, and kicking. She will be fine. I plan to never speak to X again once this paperwork is done. I just have to wait to be able to totally start over myself. Comments. I remember your post. I hope your husband pays child support. What happened to you is terrible and shocking, but hopefully in 10 years you'll look back on this and think thank goodness that happened because you wouldn't have the full life you do without it.